Sophie and Agatha, who are closest friends, are whisked away to the film's namesake enchanted school. The aspiring heroes and villains of our favorite fairy tales receive their training here to maintain the harmony between good and evil. Sophie had always wanted to be a princess from a fairy tale, but after being dropped off at the school for evil, her dream becomes a nightmare. Agatha, who doesn't want a life in a fairy tale, is dropped off at the school for good, which makes their friendship and the future of the fairy tale world in jeopardy. Since Janani's debut novel, The School for Good and Evil, was released in 2013, a film adaptation had been in development. The movie's adaptation lingered in development hell until Netflix acquired the rights in 2017, after which formal production of the film began in 2020. Two brothers, Ryan and Rafel, created a school for good and an evil school to keep the world in balance. Rafel wants to continue fighting during a routine sparring session, but Ryan isn't too interested. After attacking his brother, Rafel uses prohibited magic. Rafel is on the verge of killing his brother until Ryan stops him, causing Rafel to fall to his death off a cliff. Years later, Sophie and Agatha are two regular girls leading unremarkable and unhappy lives in the town of Gavaldon. Agatha stays with her mother and is accused of being a witch, while Sophie resides with her obnoxious stepmother and family. Reading books and stories with Sophie, especially ancient fairy tales, is the only thing that keeps them going. The accountant explains to them about the purported school where the tales in these books were originally written. Sophie starts having dreams about permanently attending the school, so she sends a letter to the institution and hangs it in the wishing tree. But Agatha doesn't want her best friend to leave Gavaldon and her dull life behind. Agatha tries to stop Sophie from fleeing her house one evening. Then a huge skeletal bird picks them up and carries them away after being pushed away by a smoky monster. They can see the school, but Agatha is dropped off at the good school, while Sophie is dropped off at the bad school. Agatha just wants to leave, but Sophie is sure that she was transferred to the incorrect school. The deans of the two schools, Lady Lesso and Professor Dovey, welcome them and emphasize that no errors have ever been made at the institution. Even the schoolmaster, Ryan, who they meet with, says the same thing. He informs the girls that Sophie needs to experience a true love kiss in order to demonstrate that she is truly good. While still pursuing their educations at their different institutions, Sophie and Agatha resolve to make it happen. They also get glimpses of Rafel, who tells Agatha to keep away and claims he has special plans for Sophie. While Sophie is gradually seduced by Rafel's teachings and embraces evil, Agatha maintains calling attention to the school's duplicity and shallowness for good. Although Agatha is more intent on aiding Sophie so that they can escape the situation, Tedros, the son of King Arthur, gets along better with her. Sophie attempts to win Tedros over so that she can kiss him. The school is roiled by Tedros and Sophie's relationship, and rivalries between the Nevers from the School for Evil and the Evers from the School for Good start to develop. The schoolmaster offers a trial by tale when the instructors and himself are forced to make a choice. In order to establish the validity of their union, Tedros and Sophie are separated and instructed to find one another at the opposite ends of the forest. Agatha violates the rules by entering to assist Sophie. Tedros believes Sophie is bad because she wasn't the one who assisted when she ends up saving him when he is in peril. This event causes a rift between Sophie and Agatha, and Rafel takes advantage of this to carry out the last part of his scheme. While Agatha informs Professor Dovey about Rafel, he reaches out to Sophie and bestows upon her his blood magic. Lady Lesso is confronted by Professor Dovey, Professor Anemone, and Agatha about her knowledge of Rafel's presence, but she shows no remorse. She thinks Rafel wants to ultimately let evil to triumph once more. She learns from the others that he wants to close down both schools and let real evil loose in the world. Despite her best efforts, Lady Lesso understands that is the case, and she is hurt by this realization. The schoolmaster orders everyone to look for Sophie, and Lady Lesso and Professor Dovey eventually find her in the library. All the teachers are transformed into dolls by Sophie using her magic. She then enters the Evers Ball and starts acting out with all the heroes there. Agatha is adamant that she can influence Sophie's decision, while Tedros and the others are of the opinion that Sophie must be destroyed. They travel to the School of Evil, where the Evers are being attacked while the Nevers are having their own ball. The Nevers become the good while the Evers become the evil when the heroes assault first. Sophie flies to the schoolmaster's office to put a halt to the massive brawl. It is made clear that Rafel was responsible when Sophie enters the schoolmaster's room. Rafel initially murdered his brother and assumed his identity to wait for the ideal opportunity. He was informed by the seers about Sophie's talent, and he planned everything to bring her to this point. He appealed to her fears and assured her that they could defeat their foes as true lovers if they united. She accepts his suggestion, and then they kiss. Sophie realizes what she's done and tries to undo everything as both schools start to fall apart. Instead of eliminating evil, she wished to rule it. In her lecture, Agatha discusses what it means to be good and how good always prevails over evil, since good helps others, while evil just benefits itself. Raphael decides that he has had enough and summons a spear, which he then throws at Agatha. In front of Agatha, Sophie leaps, grabbing the spear by the chest. As the schools are starting to come back together, her unselfish sacrifice undoes the harm. As Tedros approaches, he prepares to strike Raphael with his sword, but Raphael anticipates his approach. Agatha, with some assistance from Sophie, leaps at Raphael with Excalibur the sword as Raphael has him pinned to the wall and is about to execute him. Agatha visits Sophie while she is breathing her last after Raphael passes away. Sophie regains her life when Agatha kisses her on the forehead, since it was a true love kiss shared by true friends. The professors have likewise returned to normal, and as they enter the hallway, they notice that all the pupils are cooperating. They come to the conclusion that a new age of cooperation between good and evil is necessary. After Agatha kisses Tedros, she and Sophie return to Gavalden to live their normal lives. Although not much changes in their community, they manage to make the best of it because to their magic and camaraderie. The story is still not done after Tedros' arrow and knife both pierce the wall between the two worlds.